In Thai, pineapple eyes means ta sapparot. It's something my dad used to say to me a lot, and he still says it. If you have a pineapple, it looks as though it has many eyes. And the saying goes that with many eyes, you can see the world more fully. I think that's a very wise thing, and that's what we'd like to explore here, in this podcast.
I just finished working for iTunes as a music editor, and I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to do next. I was on the 159 bus of all places, going across Waterloo Bridge. I remember sitting upstairs halfway towards the back, listening to a piece of music and looking out the window and just thinking, wow, this is beautiful. This is everything coming together. This, amazing kind of scene of London, the people walking across the bridge, the river. The bus just rocks, and it moves. And as it moves, people kind of move as well. So all these people are kind of swaying on the bus. Some people have got earphones in, I did. And hearing this piece of music and thinking, oh yeah, I wonder if everyone's kind of like really listening to what I'm listening to and experiencing the same thing. I just would love it if I could share this with everybody on this bus. And then realizing the chances of that would be so minimal. Gave me a kind of sense that there is community to be found or to be made. That was an imaginary one, but we were a community, right? We were on the bus together. What I wanted to do was something that involved kind of place and making place special again.
So we've started working with Nick 5 years ago, I think, under Musicity.
I'm Nick Luscombe, I'm one half of Musicity. I'm the chief sound architect.
An amazing duo.
I'm James Greer, the other half of Musicity.
Really passionate and curious about sound.
Musicity just came about basically by being on that bus and that sort of collision of thoughts and feelings.
I've learned so much through them and through their work. Very, very quickly and very naturally, they became a fixture and a long-term collaborator at Wonderfruit.
Hello everybody, thank you very much for coming to the Ancestral Forest.
Last year, we started on a collaborative project called Sonic Minds, or exploration into sound as a medium for connecting to inner or outer, and also to the environment around us in new ways. James and Nick both live in Japan, and Nick, every year he comes with such enthusiasm and such passion for exploring sound. So have a listen to Nick.
I can find daily wonder just by going for a walk around my neighbourhoods. The wonder of the changing of the seasons, which is happening right now, and the way that sort of animals and plants and trees respond to that. Through to human-made spaces, architecture, design, music and art. Just the wonder of creativity of the natural world and of human beings is definitely something that's really evident, I think, if you just go for a little walk. I can't say that I cultivate wonder. I think I just give into it, and kind of try and step out of it a little bit as well, you know, try and remove myself, my sense of self as I do that. And I guess just accept that it is there, and I'm not always part of that. It's something that external to me, which feels even more wonderful. What is the magic that exists in the air around us? The more I listen, the more I ask this question. The whole idea of intentional sound in space is, in a funny sort of way, a new frontier. There's opportunities to design sound for cities that just enhances the whole experience of being there. For example, hospitals is a really obvious one. The sounds within hospitals, you know, is not usually pleasant. You know, the office soundscapes is pretty dire for most people, and they have to live with that all the time. Lobbies, but outdoor spaces as well, you know, which are being designed to look really kind of incredible, you know, but sonically you still hear the traffic and you still hear the kind of urban hum, you know, that's going on in the background. There are so many design festivals that I go to, whether that's in London or here in Japan, and sound is never represented. It's almost like it's a thing that's outside of design, and I see sound as very much a design element, you know, that should be taken much more seriously. So I live just outside of Tokyo, a place called Kawasaki, but I'm basically like 5 miles away from Tokyo. So I consider I live in Tokyo pretty much. This time of year at night, I mean, it's hot and it's pretty hard to sleep anyway. And I suffer quite a lot from a pretty active mind that tends to wake up when I really should be sleeping, which is really frustrating. But sonically, there's definitely lots of like lovely sounds of, you know, insects at night, which is really kind of very calming actually. But the sounds that I'm actually hearing out the window are different to the sounds in my head, and those also keep me awake. And I've been thinking a lot recently about, of all things, the Style Council, a band from the 1980s that I grew up with, and a particular song which has a lyric which is "Unity is powerful." And I've been thinking about that a lot and just hearing that in my head, almost like on a loop for quite a while, for weeks and weeks. I'm wondering why this line, for me as a kid growing up listening to that, I didn't really think about it as much. I'm thinking about it a lot these days. And the power of memory of music and place and how important that is to me now, being older and being here in Japan. I'm wondering why those words are not really used these days as well. So this has become a little bit of a kind of thing that's been bugging me as I lie awake at night and thinking, what is it about these three words, unity is powerful, in this track? It is now a realization that this has actually become quite important. Even if you can't hear it, if you just remember sound, it can have such a profound effect, I think.
I just want to give a very quick introduction to people here and what we're doing. Next to me is James Greer. Would you like to say hello, James? Hello.
What we're doing at Wonderfruit is interesting because it did start off thinking about sort of human community, really.
I'm going to basically play you about 45 minutes of music, all inspired and recorded here at this location. So this is a forest that is being planted just last year.
Then we were thinking, well, hang on, we've got this forest which we've been getting to know.
And it's growing very quickly.
It is, in fact, a community of beings, right? So there's all these different plants and trees that are all coming up through the soil, and, you know, we've seen that thing develop.
We wanted to try and give you a sense of how we would translate that into music.
And so maybe we could give voice to that community.
Kind of like a creative response, if you like, to this.
Think about individual trees as different people and different plants being other kinds of people. So a kind of lovely democratic kind of idea, really, where everyone's sharing this space. Trying to think about how we might be able to learn from the way that nature organises itself in that way. And I know it's not all beautiful and harmony, and there's a lot of pushing and shoving going on under the soil, but, you know, there is something to kind of marvel at and to think about our communities in different ways.
We hope you enjoy it, and I hope it kind of makes you feel inspired about the surroundings, because this is quite a special place that we're all in right now. Yeah, that's it. That's what I say.
These little kind of moments, these little triggers, years later become real when you actually put on something and people are listening to one of these sound installations as a community and kind of swaying. These little kind of things develop. So, yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?